Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. If you're new to the channel or if you're a regular viewer, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. This time we're going to take a look at 1975. Significant for me for two main reasons. Firstly, Elvis is back in the studio. From March the 10th to the 13th, he goes into RCA Studio C in California and lays down 10 new masters. Now, okay, it's not the marathon recording sessions that we'd seen in 70, 71, 73, where he lays down a significant amount of material that would fulfill multiple albums. This time it's an album's worth, but what an album's worth. That session produces some absolute gems. So, yeah, Elvis is back in the studio, great. Telling, I think, that it probably is only 10 songs and that's it, he's done. 3 days in and out, or 3 nights as would usually be the case when Elvis was recording. But nevertheless, in 74 he wasn't in the studio, 75 he's back in the studio. Although back in the studio for the last ever time. This is the last time Elvis will ever enter a professional recording studio to record material. So, a kind of milestone in that sense as well. But I think the other significant thing about 75, this trend that starts in 74, where RCA start milking the fact that they own the back catalogue, carries on and then some, as we'll see when we look at the releases. In fact, without further ado, let's have a look at the record releases that came out. And I think what I should have mentioned in pretty much all the last however many videos is when I'm talking about the releases, I am centering it around UK releases for no other reason than that's what I've been collecting, so I can actually show them because I have those releases. But I'm well aware that, what happened in different territories was different. Not everyone got the same releases at the same time, but I am talking about here in the United Kingdom, so apologies if I didn't clarify that. And as I said, the only reason I'm doing that is because I have the releases to be able to show them. So 75 starts off in a magnificent style with Promised Land, the third of the Stax albums, and to many's mind, mine included, the best of the Stax albums. This is fantastic. It's just gem after gem after gem, but for me, highlights are There's a Honky Tonk Angel Will Take Me Back In, Mr. Songman, Love Song of the Year, It's Midnight, Your Love's Been a Long Time Coming, If You're Talking Asleep, Thinking About Your Fat. There's virtually none that aren't highlights. It's this is the full laminated edition, so it's highly glossy and very difficult not to get a glare, so I do apologize, but just glorious. So we start the year with a new studio album, but it is material that's by this stage 2 years old, but nevertheless utterly brilliant. Promised Land. Now, in the UK, we get a Camden that I think is kind of exclusive to the UK, if I remember rightly. I don't think Easy Come Easy Go made it out in this form anywhere else. That particular wedding shot had been used on the UK version of Come On Everybody. But yeah, Easy Come Easy Go was kind of an amalgamation of some of the Camdens, and this is probably the third or fourth that I ever owned Elvis album. So, and another one that has a huge soft spot. This isn't my original because I don't have any of the originals anymore, but this is a nice one that somebody paid the princely sum of £1.85 for in their local cooperative store. So there's Easy Come Easy Go for you. A nice little Camden, I think primarily movie songs, aren't they? Not all, but primarily. So there's Easy Come Easy Go. And the next release in 75, we see this horror. What can you say about having fun on stage? And it makes me laugh because nearly everyone like me that comes out on YouTube and says, "Oh, this is a terrible album," but we've all shelled out and got a copy, haven't we? Let's face it. You know, the marketing ploy worked. So this was the album that Colonel Parker, in his infinite wisdom, decided to put out in 1975 on his Boxcar label, selling it at concerts, and you know, he really. His theory to put it out was it was Elvis talking in between songs, so therefore he wouldn't have to pay a penny to the record company. It was all him. But eventually RCA decided, no, we'd like a slice of that. So they released it officially in 1975. And it is an utterly pointless exercise. The only good thing about it is the cover, I think. I picked this up very, very, very cheap. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bothered adding it to the collection, to be honest, even for completism, because there's no real reason for it to exist, let's face it. Unless you feel differently. If you feel differently, let me know in the comments. I mean, if that's one of your favourite albums, I'll be surprised if there's anyone out there that owns up to that, but let me know. Okay, so what we've got here is another, I believe, UK exclusive Camden, the US Mail. I don't think, certainly this wasn't out in the States, I don't believe, and I'm not sure if it made it out in this form anywhere else. I think this might well have been my second, Separate Ways being my first. This was my second ever Elvis album, so again another one I have a huge soft spot for. Yeah, you see, you get bits and pieces from other Camdens. So Burning Love had been out on other stuff, you know, My Little Friend, sorry, No More. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened, whether because they hadn't been out that long. I mean, the Camdens only started coming out in, the very first one is 1969, isn't it? Flaming Star. But in the main, they all came out in the early 70s. So by 75, I was just wondering whether, I should have researched this and I haven't. So let me know in the comments if you've got any info. But it seems odd to me that they almost start rehashing what had been out before. Because we'd definitely had Come On Everybody before. We'd had Let's Be Friends. You know, there'd been several releases already. And then they sort of start churning them again, unless it has to do with what was still available and what wasn't available. Not sure. So this is record pressed in France. Record pressed in France. Teeth aren't working today. Sleeve printed in the UK. But yeah, you know, for those of us that were around at the time, and this is what our pocket money would stretch to. Huge affection for this. And then, in 1975, we got the masterpiece that had been recorded at RCA Studio C in March, the Today album. And for once, you know, when we look at things like Elvis Now, that came out in 72 but wasn't really Elvis Now at all because it was old stuff, Today was a very, very apt and prescient title. It was Elvis there, that year, in the recording studio, and this was the output. And what a fantastic album. Bringing it back, Pieces of My Life, Trouble, you know, I think you could probably argue Elvis's last great rocker, because in 76 when he records in Graceland, you've got things like Way Down, but that's almost got a disco-y feel. You know, there's a shift there. This Trouble's a good old rocker, and he goes for it in fine style. So yeah, I think you could probably argue that was probably Elvis's last great rocker. Let me know in the comments. But just Pat, you know, that I Can Help, Shake a Hand, Susan, and I Love You So. Just brilliant. And this, I remember our family used to have an annual sort of long weekend. We had a caravan when I was a kid, and we used to go up to see the Blackpool illuminations, sort of I think September, October time each year. And I distinctly remember getting this from a branch of Woolworths in Blackpool on one of those family holidays. So that, thinking about it, that probably was 75. I think that was 75. So although my sort of 9-year-old head probably didn't realise it at the time, you know, this was fairly new out. I mean, if it wasn't 75, I got it was 76. But it, you know, I didn't know. I didn't at that age. I didn't know what had come out, what had been out, what was contemporary, what wasn't. You know, you don't when you're that young. But yeah, you know, it would have been a new release on the racks pretty much when I got it. But fantastic album. Now, the RCA shoving out the back catalogue, because we now own it, continues apace, because we get their first ever retrospective of the tracks recorded at Sun in 1954 and 1955, which was a revelation at the time. And funnily enough, 75 in the UK sort of starts to see a resurgence of an interest in original rock and roll and rockabilly. You get a lot of bands coming out at that time doing that stuff again. Teddy Boys start reappearing on the streets and what have you. So it's quite significant in some ways. And I'm not saying that this had any particular influence on that, but the timing's perfect. This is you know, this is the release that the RCA kind of said, right, let's go right back to the beginning, and we'll stick out a compilation of those very early, right at the beginning of Elvis's career tracks. So that was your Elvis Sun collection. And then we got another, that was on the RCA Starcall label actually, which that came out with they had a dark green label. And this was a Starcall release as well. So this must have been another kind of budget wing of RCA's. I'm not exactly sure. I guess it was in the ilk of Camden. So yeah, here we go, more back catalogue stuff because they own it. And hey, we'll stick out a compilation of movie material, call it Pictures of Elvis, and you'll see the sort of layout of the back sleeves are pretty similar in terms of plug in some more stuff. In fact, this one actually has the Sun Sessions on. So there's your Pictures of Elvis. I mean, there were a few other reissues in 75 in the UK, but that was the main releases. So let's just have a quick look at Promised Land and Today from an FTD perspective. So there's the Promised Land classic album release. Usual double disc, loads of glorious outtakes, and a fantastic booklet. Look at that, beautiful stuff. You know, it's really nice to see albums that were such fabulous releases expanded in this way and given the love and care they really deserve. Beautiful. So we got Promised Land, and we've also got the FTD of Today as well. There was also a legacy release of Today that had a lot of undubbed versions on. I do have that, but I've only just remembered it. I do have that, and it's definitely worth a look. But yeah, let's have a little look at the booklet here. It's funny, quite often, you know, with these series looking at particular years, I sort of go around the room and okay, that's 75. We'll pull that out. But you'll be amazed, you know, the stuff that afterwards I think, oh, I should have mentioned that as well. But then I'm a little bit torn on that as well, because I don't really want. I try to kind of keep most of my videos to under half an hour, because personally I'm not a fan of, we've all got busy lives, so I'm not really a fan of things that go on for too long, because I'm not sure how many people will still be with me by the end, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, today, FTD, fantastic. And honourable mention must go to a really early FTD release, or relatively early. And you can see it's FTD because they've even pulled out the same photograph. And this is 6363 Sunset. So what this does is gather together various outtakes that were recorded at that RCA Studio C that the Today album was recorded at, and the recording sessions around the time of Elvis on tour, and the rehearsals took place in 6363 Sunset, which is the address of RCA Studio C. So this gathers those together, and you do get some outtakes there from the material from 75. So Green Green Grass of Home, Susan When She Tried, and I Loved You So, Bring It Back, Trouble, and Shake a Hand. And you also get on there the material from 72, so some of the rehearsals, and you do get things like It's a Matter of Time on there as well, Always on My Mind, Burning Love. So that's a nice little sort of gather together of the material recorded in those particular studios, and well worth picking up. This is relatively easy to find, 6363 Sunset, but a really nice recording. Right, as is usual, let's have a look at some books from 75. So the first one I want to share is Elvis Starring in Oklahoma by Joe Tumsey. And this is all from one date, if I remember rightly. This book came out in 2006, and this is from July the 8th, 1975, 8:30 p.m, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma Myriad Convention Center. And what you get are loads of glorious photographs of Elvis in concert in 1975. Unfortunately, I've said it before and I'll say it again, they are all black and white. Nevertheless, fantastic photographs. Really, really nice. This book does come up from time to time. And well worth it if you do see it, and it's reasonably priced, because it's a nice little record of those shows. Can't remember what that jumpsuit here is called. Is it Indian Feather, or can't quite remember. If anyone knows what this one's called, let me know in the comments. Although by the time you do put things in the comments, I will have already looked it up and thought, yeah, should have remembered that. There we go. Elvis Starring in Oklahoma. Good stuff. Now, what we've got here is a really nice little book. So this is Photos from the Heart by Sandy H. I think it's Pichon, I'm not quite sure how it's pronounced. She also did a book called Raised on Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. So this is Elvis on Tour 75. And these are photographs and memories from the personal collections of Sandy H. Pichon. This is a really nice little book. This is one of those books put together by a dedicated fan, from all the photographs that she took when she followed Elvis around on tour in 75. So you've got a forward by Sonny West as well. This is Pray to Me Publishing, published in 2007. If you Google Pray to Me Publishing, find their website, you can still get this direct from them. This is a great little book. This, in some ways, this reminds me of the way the Kieran Davis books are put together. You know, it's just packed with recollections and various bits and pieces. And you know, some great photographs here. For this, you know, this is someone that's not a professional photographer, but nevertheless, just beautiful. You see, in '75, Elvis starts wearing these two pieces again, but this time he has some sort of ornate decorations on the shoulders. I don't think he wears these for long either, which is a shame because he looks pretty good in the old two pieces. I think, you know, I think actually as he became a little bit heavier, I think the two pieces are more flattering to him than the jumpsuits were. But yeah. There's the darker blue one, almost the colours in reverse. May the 1st, 1975, Atlanta, Georgia. But this is packed full of beautiful photographs and memories. First-hand accounts from somebody that was there. So, yeah, well worth picking up this. Well worth it. It's a really, really lovely book. It's obviously a different date. So, you know, it's worth pointing out. Look at this. These aren't professional photographs, but they're fantastic. Really do capture some atmosphere of being at Elvis concerts at that time. And then at the back you get some adverts for some of the other books in the Pray to Me publishing range, and they produce some great stuff. Behind the image books are fantastic, but that is a real gem. So Elvis on Tour 1975, and I'd just like to finish with an Elvis Files book. We haven't looked at an Elvis Files book for a while, but I thought as this one covers 74 and 75, it's worth sharing. So we start in 74. Being an Elvis Files book, this is as packed as you'd expect. In fact, I'm going to take the old dust jacket off this. It might make it a little bit easier. So 74. Might have been a page I've already shown. Apologies. They're held in quite very high regard, the Elvis Files books, and quite rightly too. You know, they are well put together. You get beautiful records of day-by-day accounts of everything that happened in those years, and of course you get a lot of these contemporary articles, reviews of concerts at the time, which are, you know, fascinating to read through with the lens of history on them. So that's June the 21st, 1974. June the 23rd, 74, Philadelphia. At some point I may dedicate an entire episode to the whole Elvis Files series. I know that other channels have done them, and that's sometimes something that I kind of want to show, things that haven't been shown elsewhere, but these books are so well done that, you know, I definitely don't think it hurts to shine another light on them, because I think it's worth it. Okay, so we're at the coming towards the end of 74. Brilliant, look at that. And we should be moving into 75. No, we fit a final engagement in 74. There you see actually Elvis in 74 is already wearing the sundial suit that he would wear heavily in his final year on stage. So we must be in 75 here because he's got a two-piece. 75. I just think that's it's quite handy with Elvis. It's not always possible, but quite often you can date photographs, certainly to a year, by what he was wearing. I think the same holds true often for the movies. You can kind of work out by how his hair is, which movie we're talking about, which year we're talking about. There's always some little cues. Not always possible, but for me in the 50s it's always the sideburns, you know. As soon as 58 comes and he has those sideburns cut off for King Creole, it's easy enough to tell whether it's post or pre 1958. Sideburns are a giveaway. And to some extent I think the hair colour, because you don't really see his hair go jet black till Loving You. So usually if it's a 50s photograph and he's got his natural coloured hair, it's going to predate Loving You. There's always these little keys that help you identify photographs. But yeah, Elvis Files, fabulous books. Not cheap, but if you keep your eye out, you don't have to pay a fortune for them. There are some of them that are rarer than others, but they don't have to cost an absolute fortune. You know, sometimes it's a case of biding your time and being there at the right time when they appear. And it also depends, I guess, on who's selling them and whether they want to charge a fair price for them or charge as much as they can possibly get. $75. Some more sort of two-piece outfits, this time without the elaborate decoration on the shoulders. Fabulous. Fabulous stuff. Yeah, Elvis Files, and this one is, can't remember which volume this is. 74, 75. I have a feeling it's probably 7. Yeah, volume 7. There we go then. 1975. The last professional studio recordings from Elvis, producing a fabulous album. Yeah, great year. Okay, I really hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. I hugely appreciate it. If you could do all the usual stuff like, comment, share and subscribe, that would be much appreciated too. Next time we'll have a look at 1976. Till then, take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.